It's another day in the life of Petroma Therapy. Today is the 18th of July, and from our cover shot, you can see that in God we trust. But what is God? What is trust? There's so much to discuss. Hello to our new subscribers, Ralphie Boy in the Pacific Northwest, and Christian, who lives in Germany on a boat somewhere, or he has a yacht. I forgot. How are you today?
I honestly do not know. Hi, by the way. Hello. Sitting here and talking about that, maybe you would help me out with this because my throat and my chest feels like I've been screaming. I think that's somehow like symptomatic to my anxiety I'm having now and then. What does anxiety feel like to you?
Uh, Talking to you is that's what
Didn't
that's
feel like
I was
I
actually feeling pretty good. No, let me go
you
back to you. No, let me go
talking to
back.
me puts you into anxiety state. I don't know. I
Yeah,
thought
I was feeling great, and then you tell me your chest and throat are hurting. You feel like you've been screaming. It's it's not even light here, like it's just morning. But let me just address that first. Our physical symptoms, actually, our body talks to us. So when you say, I feel like I've been screaming, what, just close your eyes briefly, what are you screaming mad about?
about everything, other people, specifically. I wish I'd be in some kind of island, like the treasure island full of gold, and I don't know, and there wouldn't be no one with me except for that. Who was like the Friday, and
Tina
he has
Fey?
a companion. Yes, and yeah, I'm screaming because I know that that dream of mine is not achievable ever,
Oh,
and
yes, it is. That's why you're in therapy. You are in therapy to get a life. I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not. I have noticed that, I have a body, and the place that always gets sick the fastest is my throat because I talk too much. I talk all the time. I love to tell stories. I talk a lot. So I have come over the years, over the past 4 or 5 years, to think that perhaps God is allowing me to be quiet a little bit for a few days by sending me a sore throat. That is not a joke. Uh, I have a friend, David Anton. I think he's still subscribing. He sometimes invites me to do things. I say, well, I can't because of a really sore throat. He goes, well, that'd be great. Please come over. We would love to just hear you not talking. So, I mean, it's kind of funny, but he's right. And you are screaming mad. I mean, if I were you, I'd be screaming mad about the economy, about inflation, about the state of the world, about the people in your elevator, about family life, about
yeah, and
job.
I think that I'm the only one like that, the broken one, because other people seems to be okay. Not everyone, but mostly. And I especially jealous of people who seem to be completely at peace.
Okay, but see, they see you in the elevator and you just give like a half smile and they think, and you probably have some nice cologne you're wearing, and they just glance at you in the elevator and they say, that dude has it all together. He just standing there with a slight smile. Or
No,
people will see.
elevator is a weird place to meet other people, even to having the eye contact or let alone to talk to somebody. Haven't you noticed that? Because people are strange when they get into one elevator.
Well, the main elevator I go up and down was it used to be an old building called Sanger Harris, an old department store. It was changed into a community college. So those elevators were full of students and professors and policemen. So it was a an elevator that was just full of kind of academia. But my point is that people glance at you. Let's say you're walking on the street, or you've gone to go buy a beer, or you are standing there eating a sandwich, and someone from a distance might glance at you and say, look at that guy. He's just standing there eating a sandwich. He looks so happy. So we tend to believe that everyone is so much happier than we are. But I do that all the time. But you see what I mean? Some people that you don't even know you might glance at you when you're buying a beer and thinking, look at that guy. He's just like so casually buying beer. He must be happy.
I don't know, but that's not helping me. I mean, maybe I'm affecting other people in a good way, but it's not helping me because I still feel like what's that expression that the only enlightenment you can take to the top of the mountain is the one you already have, or wherever you go, where you are.
Exactly. That was an expression. Wherever you go, there you are. I have had that expression in my life for a long, long time. And my father used to say that because we traveled around and we went on trips and we did a lot of things. And, we were going to go on an adventure from driving from Frankfurt, Germany to, I don't know, the car got on like a ferry in Bremen or somewhere. And we went to Rimini and then we went to Greece. My family would say, where are we going? And he would just say, well, wherever, what is it? Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes, I think that Winston Churchill said that, or maybe Jay-Z, or maybe Confucius. I'm not.
They were all with my dad. And they were all saying that together. But it's true. It's true that we are anxious because we don't really know what's going on. Like, we're not real sure. Do we like our job? Like, why is our family so messed up? Or like, why can't I've worked this long. Why am I not happier? And, as life keeps getting longer, midlife crisis is going on. I mean, I know somebody, just gonna turn 40, and she just said, like, my life is a wreck. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, there's so much more life to live. And so, she has a house, she's married, she has a kid, she has tons of money, she travels. You would think, looking at her from the outside, this woman must have it all together. And she got it all together before the age of 40. But what she's looking at is, suppose she's going to live to be 80. I don't know. So if she was 40, she's already in a midlife crisis, but she already has the house, the car, the things that we strive for. It's really, anxiety is ubiquitous and it's everywhere. And, looking at the cover shot again of the, In God We Trust, God is kind of sort of distant. And like, sometimes I don't really feel like he even knows how can God be watching all of us all the time? How can he be watching Michael in Albuquerque and Tony in, England? And how can he be watching David Anton in Dallas? And how can he be watching me? Like, how many eyes does God have?
Yeah. I don't know. I did all the right things. I was polite. I worked my absolute ass off. I got along very well with all my coworkers. I still feel like shit.
Exactly. And, the more successful you are.
Maybe it's just the day-to-day. Speaking of an eye, because you mentioned you probably had reference to that $2 banknote I had, right?
Yeah. Why don't you tell people about the eye on it?
I didn't see any eye. Not that I'm looking at it very often. I had it in my wallet for a while now, but not that I'm taking it out and see all the details, except that there is a Benjamin Franklin, as you told me, on it. That's why I remember.
No, it's not Franklin. It's Jefferson. You're
Yes,
talking
that's
about
what
it.
I remember.
That's okay. Okay. Just try to relax. I know you love Ben Franklin because he flew a kite and kind of discovered electricity, and he wore glasses. And
I
I don't
couldn't
know.
tell this
Anyhow,
name from Adam. Seriously, just
okay. Well, do
just the
you have
name
your
somehow hit
do
close.
you have your wallet with you now?
Kinda, yeah, but I prefer to have credit cards. I don't have any cash money.
No. What
Yeah,
it
I don't
was
have.
meant that you said this $2 bill was in your wallet. You could actually
Yeah,
look at it.
I once told that if you want to have money in your wallet, just keep this one in your wallet. So I keep it,
Yeah.
and yeah, there is money in my wallet. I'm not sure if it's thanks to that bill I keep in my wallet as well, but maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of magical thinking. Well, on the $2 bill, I believe there's a pyramid with an eye at the top of it and kind of like rays shining over it. And light, light has always been associated through different cultures with divinity or transcendence. And if you think about the pictures and the icons of the saints, most of them have a light glowing around the back of their head, and that's an aura, AURA. And we have done an episode about auras and energy maybe a couple months ago or 3, 4 months ago. But, you know, if we think about the phrase, which is the title of this episode, In God We Trust, I was thinking about this poem written by Gerard Manley Hopkins. And he was a Victorian poet. He lived 1844 to 1889 and was born in Essex, England. And he was born into a highly artistic, uh, musical, educated family, and he was in the high Anglican faith. But over time, he converted to Catholicism, Roman Catholic Church, and he used to write poems, but then he decided he wanted to become a priest. I mean, just imagine his parents. You know, they've raised this kid, they've given him all these art lessons, he's gone to college, he's very bright, and now he just is going to go be a priest. So, you know, our parents have expectations about what we should be doing. Our wives or boyfriends or girlfriends have expectations about what we should be doing. But I was going to read this poem. It's very short. It's called God's Grandeur. So after he became a priest, he decided he was going to burn all his poems. So he burned them all. And then after about 4 years, he started writing again. But none of his poems were published during his lifetime. They were found after he died, and 30 years after he died, the poems were published. So he died in 1889, like turn of the century. So he never saw his poems published. So this is Hopkins' poem. The world is charged with the grandeur of God. It will flame out like shining from shook foil. It gathers to greatness like the ooze of oil crushed. Why do men then now not wreck his rod? Generations have trod, have trod, have trod, and all is seared with trade, bleared, smeared with toil, and wears man's smudge and shares man's smell. The soil is bare now, nor can foot feel being shod. And for all this, nature is never spent. There lives the dearest freshness deep down things. And though the last lights off the black west went, oh, morning at the brown brink eastward springs. Because the Holy Ghost over the bent world broods with warm breast and bright wings. the part I kind of related to was generations have trod, have trod, have trod. Like we go to work, we come home. We go to work, we come home. My grandfather, my grandparents, my parents, aunts, uncles. You know, the world wears man's smudge. So, during the Industrial Revolution, when we moved from an agricultural society to an industrial society, and now we're in a technological society, and it just life kind of sucks.
No, it's not. I mean, it does only if you think it is. However much I complain about it, how would you say in the US, like bitch about it, but
yeah,
I understand that I'm not being fair because I think there is maybe 60% good and 40% bad in our lives, or maybe 50-50. I'm not sure of the proportion. But it doesn't suck. I mean, you may say it sucks, but maybe it's just to you at the moment you say it because it's not always.
Yeah. True, because it keeps changing. And just like the seasons change, like we're in a real hot heat wave here in Texas, and you say that you're thinking about winter, you wonder how cold it's going to be in winter. Our feelings don't stay the same. Like we can wake up in the morning like, this is going to be a great day. Like I have so much energy. And then by afternoon, you have like a sugar crash because you ate a donut or something.
Yes.
And then by the time you go home, you feel like, look, my life is I'm exhausted. And then you go home and sit and have a beer and stare out the window and you wonder, like, what is the meaning of life? I mean, that is me in a little bit different way because I'm not going into an office, but I actually go through that pattern.
Yeah, and speaking of, when you said about the pyramid and OCNI, I somehow I'm into conspiracy very often, and I read it, I guess, that there is a belief that this eye represents some kind of people of Illuminati symbol, or maybe Masonry, Freemasonry, because founding fathers, they were Freemasons, if I'm not mistaken. But you ever heard that?
Yeah, that's just more stuff trying to like mess with people's minds. So remember several episodes we said, how do you decide about stuff? So classical discernment is whatever comes to you, like an article about the Illuminati or a book about Sacrament of the Present Moment or the idea to go eat a hamburger. You weigh it like this. Does this thing coming at me come from the world or from God or from the devil? So like if you're in the mood for a hamburger, that's just coming from the world. You're just hungry. So the stuff that comes from the devil creates uncertainty, confusion, paranoia, but God is a God of order. So I would say all that Illuminati stuff created so much chaos, and there may be parts of it that might have been true, but I just want to say that the $2 bill, I'm looking at something about it. I'm really excited. When it was first printed, it was made from 70% cotton and 25% linen. I am very excited about that. But there's all these articles about the conspiracy theories, and they're going. Yeah. Now here I'm looking at the $2 bill. There's no pyramid on this one. The pyramid's on a different one. The back of the $2 bill shows the founding fathers all hanging around signing the Declaration of Independence.
Let me get my wallet.
Yeah, and your buddy is right. Yeah, some of your friends are there. And then the front of it is Jefferson. I knew that Jefferson's on the front.
Okay, I have it in my hands. It says $2. Okay, the front of it has Jefferson on it, and it says $2, series 2009. And on the reverse of it is the United States of America. No, not pyramid. I thought it had a pyramid.
The pyramid is on a different one. But anyhow, I was wrong about that. But these are the founding fathers. Notice how they're all men. They're all men.
What do you mean?
what do you mean they're all men? I said, just notice how they're all men. They are the founding fathers. So they're in charge of the Declaration, the Constitution, printing presses, academia, they own land. These guys got it all together. But, the various presidents throughout the ages suffered from various mental illnesses. Abraham Lincoln was a traveling lawyer, and then he became a president, and he suffered from very severe depression. Did you ever know that about Lincoln?
No, but still, he's just a human, right? Why not? I mean, why couldn't he have a depression or some?
Because we tend to think of our presidents, and we tend to think of our supposedly our bosses or our fathers or our mothers. We tend to think of them as not human. Like, especially when you're a kid, your parents seem to be like so powerful. Or when you go to school, your teachers are like so powerful. You can't believe that they ever have any problems. But I don't know. I mean, they are just,
No, I understand you. I see your point. I see your point.
Hey, this says that it's rare.
Do you? I mean, these $2 bills are they some kind of? I mean, are they more or less regular or rare?
Well, there's a urban legend or a myth that it's somehow going to be lucky for you to keep it, and you don't see them very often. I know that when I'm at a grocery store or something before the pandemic and someone's making change for something, I gave them some cash, and I happened to see a $2 bill. I go, hey, could I have that $2 bill? They go, well, don't you want ones? It'd be like a young guy. Don't you want ones? I go, no, I'd love to have that $2 bill. So the guy who had the drawer open, the cashier's drawer open, he didn't even know how rare the $2 bill was. He goes, well, what are you going to do with the $2 bill? I go, I don't know. I kind of collect them. But I have a couple $2 bills, and
I did not know they're collectible currency. I mean, quote unquote, because I think the one I have, just $2 bill, they're worth just no more than $2 because it's $2 bill.
Well, that's what it says on there. It is worth what someone will pay it. So let's suppose I met you in a bookstore. Suppose I'm somehow in Moscow looking at a bookstore, and we're up at there's a little counter for coffee and stuff like that. And I'm up there getting a coffee, and you're getting a coffee or something, and you take out your wallet or something and make some change with the girl that's, or maybe I would see a $2 bill. I'd say, hey, could I buy that from you? You go, what do you mean? I go, I'll pay you $5 for it. You go, oh, okay. Because you're just thinking literally. You're thinking it says $2, it's worth $2. I just told you I would buy your $2 bill from you for $5. Money has not only a literal meaning, but it also has a fluctuating meaning. Like if I have gold in my hand, the price of gold is going up and down all the time, like the gold index, the silver index, the CDs, all that, derivatives, all that stuff. There isn't an absolute value. But, if you went to a candy store and you wanted a little bag of candy, and the bag of candy cost $2, and you gave the clerk $2, that's all it's worth, is $2. But if I saw you with a $2 bill, or I saw a $2 bill in somebody's cashier drawer, I would ask for it.
And I would immediately assume that you are from the US.
Is that a bad thing?
No.
No, there's people that collect coins all the time.
Because in that case, you would have known what $2 bill represents, because they are less common than the others. That's what you who come up to me and ask for it, because I know other people. I mean, I've never known that there is some kind of rarity about that. But
You know,
you being the American, you know how, I mean, how less common they are.
well, I was up in Portland, Oregon, maybe 4 years ago, visiting my daughter. And after you become a doctor, you do your residency. And then there's other people doing their residency too, and they're becoming specialists. So she was becoming a head and neck surgeon. And this friend of hers was becoming he was head and neck, but he was going to specialize in the vocal cords. And he was a really nice guy, and he had a partner who was a history major, like political science or something. And I can't exactly, or I'm not going to say their names right now, but we all went to eat lunch together. And I was talking about history, or I was talking about art history, or I don't know, I was just talking. And let's pretend that his name was Mark. I think that was the political science guy. But anyhow, this guy who was a head and neck surgeon, all of us went out together. We went to this ice cream place, and we went to this other place for drinks, like with my daughter and some of her other doctor friends. We all went out several times. And then I was getting ready to fly back to Dallas, and he said, "Hey, I have something for you." And I think I had given him a sketchbook, because I had an extra sketchbook. And I said, "You know, you like to draw and doodle here. Here's a sketchbook." He goes, "You know, I have something for you." And he took out his wallet, just like he said. And then his partner goes, "Oh my God, you're going to give her the $2 bill." And then we're just sitting there, and he took out this $2 bill. He said, "This has been a very lucky $2 bill for me. I got into medical school. I finished medical school. I've graduated from my residency program, and now I'm going to New York City, and I'm going to be hired as a voice doctor." Like, he goes, "I want you to have my $2 bill." I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that." I said, No, it's your special $2 bill." He goes, "No, I think you might need it now." I said, "Okay." And then his partner, whose name was Mark, said he actually got that in Monticello. So that was, Thomas Jefferson's mansion, where he had all his slaves and fruit trees and everything. And so I have this $2 bill. So it's very valuable to me, because it was given to me as a special gift from a friend. And it has emotional meaning to me. And these guys at the time, and my daughter were how old were they at the time? How old are you when you graduate from medical school? I can't remember. But yeah, I kind of got on a tangent there. But people know about the $2 bill.
But Jefferson, why is he on? Why is he on a national currency? He wasn't.
Thomas Jefferson was the third president of the United States. He was the intellectual writer of the Declaration of Independence. He was a philosopher. He had studied the philosophy of John Locke. He traveled to France as Secretary of State. So he is the intellectual writer of the Declaration of Independence. So when Locke wrote, life, liberty, and fraternity, whatever he wrote, Jefferson came back to the United States and said, the United States of America is going to be about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're going to chase being happy, which I think is pretty dang amazing for, 18th century. We're going to chase happiness in America. The pursuit of happiness, like whatever floats your boat.
No, I like the idea. I get that.
I'm like excited right now. No, I mean, I like to feel like there's something exciting to do or someplace to go or some nifty thing to eat, or maybe I'm going to eat a salad. I don't know. I mean, don't you like to look forward to things?
I used to, but now I'm getting older. I'm trying to, like my mind, I told you before, the problem is that my mind is constantly working. It either takes me back in time or brings me to the future, regardless if it's near or far. But I'm never here, like in the moment, I say. And that is a torture. I don't know what the case with all the other people. Maybe they're having the same problems or maybe not. But if they do, well,
No, I hear you. Yeah, no,
that
I
might
hear
be an
you.
issue.
I think it's very hard to live in the present moment. And we all go through these moments of crisis where we wonder, like, is what I'm doing making sense? Like, what am I going to do now? Like, I already did this. And anxiety comes from the inability to reconcile the past and the future. Like, we can read books about Alan Watts, we can listen to videos about meditation, we can go to the gym and lift weights. But when you're lifting weights or drop weights or whatever it is that you do, when you're in that, you're okay. But as soon as you put the weights down and go out of the gym, the anxiety returns. Like, I'll go to the gym and ride the stationary bicycle to build some muscle on my right hip and also to better muscle. And like when I'm doing this, I'm thinking like, this is great. I'm like such an amazing person. And then I get off all the equipment and get my towel, and I see all these other young people in yoga pants and all these people getting into these amazing vehicles, and I get into my Toyota and I just think like, my life sucks. Okay,
Yeah.
back to the $2 bill. I have to read this to you. I'm so excited.
Okay.
According to the Business Insider, the $2 bill is the rarest currently produced money in the United States. It is rarest.
That's why I told you that if you asked me for $2 bill, I would assume that you're from the US because you'd know such stuff. Because people all over the world, they just don't know what kind of currency is in circulation. Nomination, I mean.
Okay, but people that are, I don't know if, I don't think it's Ralphie Boy One. It might be a guy named Mr. Phono Boy or Mr. Phono Man. I bet Tony Carnes knows this stuff. He's not in the United States. Well, that's okay. That's okay. So, in God we trust. Do we trust that today is going to be a good day, or do we have to make it a good day? Does God know how today is going to be before we actually do today? I don't know. Think of how many things can go wrong before today's over.
But also the same amount of things. Think of how many things could go right before the day is over, right?
That's true. So you think maybe the happy, sad thing is 50-50 or 60-40?
I don't know what the proportion. I think we have in our life, we have 2/3 of it is about something good, and the remaining third is all the mishaps and stuff that we don't like. What's your opinion?
Yeah. Well, what about, how did you get a $2 bill? You're not even an American.
No, I'm not an American, but I don't know how it get into Russia. I mean, this exact bill, but someone gave it to me and said, well, no,
it was great.
No, I don't remember the details.
No, I'm saying, did it you just found it on the street, or a friend gave it to you as a present, or how did you come to the $2 bill?
Yeah, it was sort of present, or I don't remember the subtext because there was a discussion, but and the idea was Like you have that in you. You have your money be full of money. You want your wallet be full of money. Just keep it in there. Keep
Yeah.
this to the real. But
Well, here it
I don't know.
says,
It seems
here it
totally
says,
new. This $2 bill obviously haven't been in circulation much, though. The date says 2009. Don't
yeah,
know.
but listen to this. Yahoo Finance says this, check your $2 bills. That's what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look for $2 bills. Check your $2 bills. They could be worth up to $4,500. If your $2 bill was minted and printed before 1976.
Oh no,
Write that
my
down.
mind is definitely after. Oh, you know
Okay,
why before 1976?
why?
Do you know the reason? Because I think they stopped printing $2 bill for 5 or 6 years at a time, and then then started printing them again. Yeah, that's why all the bills before 1976 they're somehow collectible.
Well, there's something called the U.S. Currency Auctions, USCA website. And they say that even bills printed within the last 30 years, so yours is within the last 30 years, might be worth hundreds of dollars. So this is a finance website I'm looking at, and they're saying the $2 bill was first printed in 1862 and originally had Alexander Hamilton on the bill. But then in 1869, they redesigned it and decided to put Thomas Jefferson on the bill. Because, see, at the time, Hamilton was the Secretary of Treasurer, but 1869, they liked Jefferson and want to put him on it. The most recent edition of the $2 bill was designed in 1963. But the key year is if it's printed before 1976, it's going to be worth a lot in the collectible market. Wow.
Do you have like $1 and $2 coins?
Silver dollars were made when I was a little girl. My grandfather would give me a silver dollar, and I had an eagle, Lady Liberty, on it. But no one uses dollar coins. Actually, people don't use cash that much, really. Almost everybody's on credit cards.
But do you know what's the exchange rate between US dollar and euro?
And the euro, right this minute? No.
Yeah. Ever interested? Have you given any
Am I
thought to that?
interested?
Yeah.
I always give thought to it.
No, my point is that living in the US has benefits in terms of exchange rates and fluctuations on the FX market.
Yeah.
The dollar is
Well,
the
I'm
same.
saying if I'm going to travel, for example, a friend of mine just went to Istanbul and somebody else just went to London and somebody else went to Berlin. You know, like or somebody else went down to Mexico, the dollar is amazing. Like, you know, you can go out to eat, you can buy souvenirs, you can hire guides, you can do everything because you got American dollars. And, you know, the exchange rate is different if you get it exchanged at the airport or if you get it with some guy on the street. But since I'm not traveling right now, I'm not checking the exchange rate. But someone who just came back from Turkey, they said they can't believe how cheap everything was. And that really beautiful dinners were like super cheap. And
yeah, Turkish lira appreciated greatly. Dollar, same as Russian ruble too. And
but I'm not traveling too much right now. I'm traveling. You know, I went to Portland, and you know that's. I don't know. The other thing is like we also live in a world of points. Like, for example, if you take so many airplane trips, you get these frequent flyer miles, so you never even have to use cash. Like when I went up to Portland, I had enough money. I had enough points. So we had the pandemic, right? And then after the pandemic and during the pandemic, I didn't travel except for this past February 2023. I went up to Portland, Oregon. and it was all paid for with points. So I didn't even have to pay for the trip. And then because I was flying and people were so excited that people were flying again, they loaded more points onto our accounts. So when I, went to check in, somebody said, "Would you like more points?" I go, "Yeah, I also like a beer." And yeah, it's amazing how these points work. I mean, because it's not really anything. A point isn't anything, right? Frequent flyer points, it doesn't exist. There's like, I can't hold a point.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, there are people who, few of my friends there, whenever they fly somewhere, they collect this flyer miles. What's that called?
Yeah,
Miles?
frequent flyer miles. Points.
Miles.
Yep, points for frequent flyer miles. Yeah, frequent flyer miles.
But I find it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I've never. It's too complicated to my taste. All these bonuses and frequent flyer miles.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that comes. I think that I'm being cheated because.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's commercial. Commercial will never sell you anything.
There's a lot of fine print because I know on that airplane they had the stewardesses coming down the aisles, and I thought they had this little tray with them, a little small tray, and they're holding like something like a pencil or a pointer. And I thought they were, bringing somebody a little demi-tasse of coffee. And what they were doing, they were selling another credit card. Like, would you be interested? Like, we were on the airplane, which means we're trapped. We have seatbelt on, we're locked in. We still have 3 more hours of the flight to go. And now they're going to walk through the aisles and sell us something. So they were trying to sell us on another credit card. And they were talking about, you're going to get all this free stuff if you do it. I go, yeah, no, thank you. They go, but you're going to be able to get this. I go, no, I'm fine. So they weren't aggressive, but you're right. Like, why would they attack us when we're trapped in an airplane with a seatbelt on? Like you said, it's too complicated. But there were other people who were already on their second or third drink. Oh yeah, give me that. Bring me another drink. Like, I don't want to say mainly guys, but mainly guys.
Also, I always, when I think of money, I think of gold because I know that all money was backed by gold a while ago, like a long time ago. So
yeah,
you would have taken $1 to a bank and get back some amount of gold, right? That was considered the equivalent.
Well, when
we have these credit cards, which is basically, if you have money in bank, I think that's not your money. It's banks. So if the banks tomorrow just shuts off its banking equipment, I don't know, online equipment, online software.
Oh, yeah. You sometimes ATM machines don't work. You can't get it. You can't do anything, or the power goes out. I mean,
so I see another conspiracy here. Also, it's very convenient at the moment. But
oh yeah. And the other thing is that when I was doing more investing earlier, before my daughters were going off to college, I used to do futures, and I used to do gold, silver, and platinum, and I used to do pork bellies. Those were my thing. And see, I never studied economics, and I wasn't married at the time, but I also bought a lot of gold, and I also had a lot of gold. And gold just kept going up. So like today, the price of gold per ounce is, it dropped 4.5, but the price of gold per ounce is like 1,955.
Also, you
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I mean, I love gold, and when I travel, I like to buy. I like gold.
Yeah.
I like Jaguar.
Do you like the fiat? They call it fiat currency. I don't know why they call it fiat, but
Fiat,
I
how do you
mean
spell it?
fiat, Fiat, bitcoins basically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not into that. Alex was into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff, cryptocurrency, and that. What's that art that turned into some image, and you don't buy physical art, you just buy this image that's in the metaverse or something. I don't know. It's a crazy world. The supposedly Moses was called in the Bible to lead, the Israelites who were worshiping golden calves and worshiping false idols, idols. He was called to lead them out. And Moses was like, well, why me? And supposedly the story in the Bible is that God appeared as a burning bush, a voice in a burning bush. And yeah, imagine that God's talking to you and say, like, I got a special mission for you. You're going to lead the Israelites out of here. And Moses was like, me? I was just a kid in a basket that was abandoned when I was a kid. And God said, well, you're going to do this. And so the story is in the Bible that the Israelites were led and that God parted the Red Sea so that the Israelites could walk out, and then he closed it when Pharaoh's horsemen were chasing the Israelites. Like, that's a really cool God. I like that God. He can part the Red Sea. How does that make sense?
If I give you a map right now, could you point where the Red Sea is? Because I would be at loss.
The Red Sea? Okay, well, listen to this. The Red Sea is, it's between, okay, you know where Egypt is? Then under Egypt is Sudan. And then on the side of it is like Yemen and Oman. The Red Sea is an inlet in the Indian Ocean. It's between Africa and Asia. It's to the north is the Sinai Peninsula, and the bottom of it is the Gulf of Suez. So if the Israelites were in captivity as slaves working for Pharaoh, right? The Pharaoh of Egypt, and they had their own various little religions or whatever, and some of the stories are that they were worshiping a golden calf. So I don't know exactly what that was all about, but we're talking about gold. And then Moses was called, first of all, Moses sent word to the Pharaoh, let my people go. And then the Pharaoh said, no way. And then God sent a plague on the plague of the locusts, and the plague of the firstborn kid was going to die. And if you were a person of God, you were supposed to put some blood on the doorway so that death wouldn't get you. And all this stuff, all these calamities happened in Egypt. And then finally Moses said, come on, let's get out of here, because Pharaoh's men are on chariots and horses and they're going to come get us. So they just started, God showed Moses the way and said, come on, let's go this way. And Moses go like, well, that's the Red Sea. And then God said, no problemo. And he just put his hand down and opened the Red Sea so that the Israelites could leave Egypt. So we're kind of talking about the base of Egypt. The Red Sea goes up into Egypt.
Would have been cool to witness that Red Sea partition.
Yeah, and supposedly the Red Sea has coral that has red coral I'm not much into like scuba diving and stuff. Some people are, but I know that the Red Sea, I have heard that the Red Sea is called the Red Sea because there were or there are coral reefs that are red.
Well, speaking of translations and similarities in the words, I think there are many instances where we have to accept that something that comes from ancient times, probably based in reality with, I don't know, mistranslations, right?
Well, the stories have come down to us into the year 2023. So there's different myths of the Bible, there's stories in the Quran, there's stories in oral history. I mean, there's just lots of stories. Oh yeah, here I'm looking at this map. There's like all this desert in Egypt and the Sudan, and then across from it is Saudi Arabia.
You know what? You said that I see the map. I thought that, like anyone, if imagine that whoever reads the story and looks at the map, thinks, okay, now I believe in God because he sees how like Israelites came through the Red Sea and escaped slavery.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people take tours of the Holy Land, and some people take tours of, museums all around the world, and some people that go into the Holy Land and they go to these places that are mentioned, and they think like, wow, maybe some of this could be true. Maybe it could be, some of it could be true.
Yeah, I think there was something similar, but maybe it had another explanation, like some kind of a tsunami that brought all the water apart. I don't know.
No, there's all kinds of stories, like the story of the Tower of Babel and like the Tigris Euphrates River, there's all these different stories. I think the stories have a portion of the truth, and just me and my own life journey. I know this sounds kind of weird, but it's actually true. Sometimes if I'm in like some crisis and I just think I cannot figure my way out, I cannot figure this out, I cannot figure this out. And then
you're not supposed to.
Yeah, then I could go to sleep or have a dream or like sit there and wonder. And I come back to, if God is big enough and powerful enough to part the Red Sea and to allow the Israelites to leave persecution in Egypt, then he can do this for me. Whatever this thing is I need done. I mean, from some old business that happened 10, 15 years ago, somehow $200,000 of debt was being they were trying to collect it, and they could not collect it from my ex-husband. So somehow these debt collectors thought they're going to try to chase me down for $200,000 of debt. And some guys banging at my door. This happened two years ago. And I never opened my door. And I said, what do you want? He said, this is the sheriff. I go, well, Mr. Sheriff, what do you want? He said, I need to talk to you. I go, then call me. He said, I'm going to leave my card on your door. You call me. So just because someone knocks, you don't have to answer. So anyhow, I called him. He said, I'd like to meet with you. I said, I'm not going to meet with you. What do you want? And then he would knock on my door, and he'd knock on my door, and he would knock on my door, and this went on and on and on. I thought, well, I cannot live like this. This was like happened 2 years ago. And then finally, I just threw the door open, and I said, what do you want? It really scared him. And he said, I have a writ of execution. I go, what, you're going to execute me? He said, I have a writ which is active for 5 years, and I will come back and possess your property until we get what we want. I go, yeah, well, you need to send me the legal papers on that, and you know my address. And I shut the door. So this writ of execution was alive for 5 years, and I've been living under this writ of execution. I already did 2 years. And then I just thought, like, this is ridiculous. They're gonna what do I even have? I have art, I have jewelry, I have some things here. But you know, I talked to a couple of lawyers, I talked to some people, they said, you can't get out. There's no way out. There is no way out. I go, what are they gonna take my car? They go, no, your car is exempt, your method of employment is exempt. And then I wrote the company a letter and I said, I have no land. I have this much money in my bank account. I have a few paintings. And so I'm going to make you an offer. But I didn't do this in talking, I did it all in writing. And I wrote to them and I said, I'm going to send you $50 a month to show my intention to pay this debt. And do not come to my door and do not knock. And they accepted it. I just paid $50 a month, kind of off and on, for about 1.5 years.
All I know about sheriff is that that expression that there is a new sheriff in town.
Well, there's another song by Eric Clapton. I shot the sheriff, but I could not shoot the deputy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should we make it? Should we maybe wrap it up?
I'm thinking that we should wrap it up. And I wish all the sheriffs out there good luck. Stay away from my door.
And I wish everyone $2 bill in their wallet.